everyone, it's Desiree. Got something a little different here. I'm going to show you yet another subscription kit in case you were looking for one more to add to your collection. I was asked if I would show this, and of course, yes. This is a great kit. It is from Scrapping from Less, and it's called a Flavor of the Month kit. This is the kit for December 2017, and it's called Winter Love. I encourage you to check this out. On their website, you can download this sheet, and there's also another sheet that shows 4 different sketches for cards that you can create. What I really like about this subscription kit is the fact that there's 4 packs, 4 themes within this subscription. And then there's different levels. Now they are in the process of changing the levels. They had 4, now they're going to go to 2. So your single scoop had the stamp and the paper, and then you had a double dip that added sequins and ephemera and some other types of embellishments. And then you had a deluxe sundae level that added an extra die. And then you had the banana split that had everything. But no matter what subscription you get some cardstock. So in this one, you got gray, pink, a light blue, and a dark teal. And you get 4 sheets of white. This is the Nina 110 pound, and it's the layering weight. So it's great for stamping. I use it all the time for stamping. So this is the first packet. Again, no matter what subscription, you get 4 themed packets. So as we open this, you can tell it's filled with all kinds of goodies, which I think is great. There's so much in these. So in each packet, you get paper, envelope, and a stamp. That's the basic. So this stamp here is from Brutus Monroe, and it's I'll Always Love You with 2 gorgeous owls. That is a gorgeous stamp. You always get an envelope for each packet, and then you get 6 sheets of pattern paper. This pattern paper is from Love and Adore by Simple Stories, and it's double-sided. And to me, the sides are really different. You can either be really bright, or you can kind of tone it down just a little bit. When you do the next level, you get Sequins by Kennedy Grace. They always provide a packet of Kennedy Grace sequins for each packet. Some glitter stickers, some sentiment stickers, if you don't have any stamps, and some felt hearts, which I believe are adhesive. So that's our first packet. For packet number 2, as always, you get the envelope. You're going to see a stamp by Santoro, which are gorgeous stamps, and your paper is Main Squeeze by Crate Paper. So there's your envelope. Your papers are very Valentine's, lots of hearts, lots of pink, white, gold. It is one-sided for this pack. Again, you get 6 sheets. For the stamp, it's a beautiful girl. These stamps are absolutely gorgeous, and I've been wanting to check them out, and now I can. The details that you can do when it comes to coloring are beautiful with them. And now if you got into the next level, this is some of the ephemera. So there's some paper cutouts. There's some twine from Lawn Fawn. Another pack of Kennedy Grace sequins, and a little tiny gold heart embellishment. So you can tie it onto a card, or whatever you would like to do with that, or put it in your shaker card. Just because it's big doesn't matter. So that's packet number 2. For packet number 3, and each one comes wrapped like this. So whatever you order, it'll actually tell you what packet is what, which is really cool because I would not know. So there's your envelope. Great scene paper there just to cover up your card for a real quick card. These papers here are Snow Fun and A Perfect Winter by Echo Park, and also Cardabella. These are double-sided. Know that when it comes to the embellishments and the papers, they may be different than what you're seeing here because again, they are taking things and cutting them apart to fill the kits to give samples of some products. The stamp is by Lawn Fawn, and it's called Winter Fox. I think it's a beautiful fox, of course, with a coffee mug or hot cocoa. There's your set of sequins, some rosettes, and some stickers to embellish your card. For the last collection, same thing. This one, the papers are perfectly plaid winter. There's your envelope. And I'm just separating some things out here. And I love this paper pad. I think I have 2 of them myself. I will hoard this paper, but no, I'll actually use it. I just love this paper. It is one-sided. You get a stamp from My Favorite Things, and it's the Ice Skater. And I know My Favorite Things has a whole collection of those little girls, so I don't have any of them, so I was glad I got one of those. If you got into the next level, you got a die from Gina Marie Designs of a snowflake. Some beautiful snowflake brads. I really do think brads need to make a comeback. I'm finding I'm starting to use them and really like them. And of course, your sequin pack that perfectly matches the paper. And those sequins are absolutely great. Again, you can use them for shaker cards. We can use them to embellish our cards because we never use all of the sequins when it comes to these packs for our shakers. Now, if you got into the Deluxe Sunday, which is really the 3rd level, but as I said, they're changing that, you got an extra die. So in this case, it's the Lawn Fawn Hearts die, which is awesome for stash builders. And then if you did the Banana Split, which is what was sent to me, you get a little jar of the glossy accents. Can't have too much of that. These adorable lip stickers. Wouldn't they be cute on the back of your Valentine's Day envelopes? Hello? And then this stamp set from Main and Squeeze, which of course is Valentine's Day themed as well. Now remember, all of the items are subject to change without notice. Okay? So you may get some things that are different. Again, I was sent the Banana Split so that I can showcase and tell you all about it. I really do think this is something that you should check into. I think it is a great deal and definitely a good price point with all of the different things that you get. So it's nice to get samples of things to try it out and to work with. So for the first card, I'm going to use the collection 4. So yes, I'm going to cut into my papers, and I'm going to use that sketch with all of the circles as my inspiration. So I'm going to use this first cardstock, and I'm going to cut a strip that's 1.5 inches, and then a second strip that you'll see we'll use later at 3/4 inches wide, and they're both by 6. My card base is cut using the Lawn Fawn stitch rectangle, and it'll cover up the whole base of a 4.25 by 5.5. And you can see the strip that I have set, that's part of the sketch. And I grabbed my circle dies, my stitch circle dies. I have to remember where these are. I've had these for years. So once I'll link them down below if I can find out and remember who they're from. So I've cut out my circles of the other 2 pattern papers that I had, and I'm just playing around with positioning, getting a feel of what my eye's doing, what it's looking for, and so forth. And I used the really small one to cut out 2 small circles. So I already stamped my girl. I used my Simon Says Intense Black ink, and I'm going to use my Prismacolor pencils. I do have the entire collection because I am that person. I gotta have every color. But I am a huge fan of Prismacolor. I'm also a fan of the Spectrum Noirs. But here I'm just going to show you how I work with colored pencils, no matter what they are. I always start out with my darkest shade in the shadows, and I'm not pressing hard. I'm using a light touch. These are wax-based pencils. If you press hard right off the bat to do your shadows, you won't be able to build up. And that's what you want to do with colored pencils. You want to build. So I started with my dark. I came in with my second color. Again, I like two shades. And then covered all of that over. And then I'm going to go back in with my dark to make my shadows just a little bit darker. I have the Gamsol. You can use that to blend. I have the blender pencil to blend. I like them both, but what I truly do like is a white pencil to blend. So there she is. I didn't want to show all of the coloring. We would be here forever, and I love to be with everyone forever, but come on. I used the largest circle, stitch circle die, and I cut her out. And now I'm just going to play around and adhere all of my circles. I'm going to be using my art glitter glue, and I'm going to start setting those in place. Now, we can set these any way we want. Again, we can follow the sketch. I use the sketch as inspiration. I just love the idea of the circles and the way they were rolling through. Now you can see when I placed her down, she kind of took up the whole card because she's a nice size image and she's our focal point. So I'm like, okay, well, we could rip these off and we could change it. And then I decided against that. I really liked it. So I'm going to grab one of my other circles, and yes, I did all of that coloring, but that's okay. This is the circle that I chose, so I'm able to keep a lot of her in there with all the coloring that I did. So we just shrunk her down just a little bit. I'm now going to pull in my brads, because I just had to use these brads. They were just absolutely gorgeous. So here what I'm pulling in is a piercing mat. Now, if you don't have a piercing mat, you can use an old book, an old magazine. You could layer 2 to 3 layers of fun foam together and adhere them together. It'll work just fine. I was cleaning my room and actually found this. Yeah, there's a lot of things I'm finding. So I'm putting the brads in, making sure that it's not going off the edge, and you want to make sure that we add our brads before we put our panel onto our card base, or else we'll put the brads through to the other side and we'll see those tails, and that wouldn't be good at all. Not that it couldn't be fixed, but it wouldn't be good. So I'm piercing through the levels, and I've chosen to put these 2 brads in place. Again, making sure that they're not going off the edge of the card design base, because we are going to cut off those edges. Using the 3M double-sided foam tape to apply our strip, and it's just coming up off of the bottom. It's not directly in the center. Again, the whole thing of rule of thirds. If you all have watched my videos before, you know I love the rule of thirds. So I was debating, should we put a background on her to make her stand up? But I do think she stands out a lot when it comes to the strip. So I decided against that. So I'm just going to put a couple foam squares down below. And then we'll adhere our art glitter glue up on the top, because it's mainly going to be adhered onto that strip that's already propped up. So to keep it even, we want to make sure that we put the foam squares on the underside. So for the sentiment, I'm prepping a scrap piece of black cardstock, and I'm using Have a Nice Day. I thought that was cute. And I'm using some new embossing powder that I got from Lindsay's Stamp Gang. This is awesome. But I found out something when I used it. This is the first time I'm using it on black cardstock. Yes, when you heat emboss it, it turns to a peacock blue. When you put that on white cardstock, it's a beautiful pearl with a peacock tint. We learn things as we go. I still went with it because you can still see the sentiment, and it still looks beautiful. I love Lindsay Stamp Gang. Their colors are just amazing. We want to use the art glitter glue to really make sure that that's adhered, because we've got those brads. And when we open it, the cardstock that you get, the color, does have a sticker on it sometimes, and that's okay. Please, that's how we used to buy our cardstock. So here's the strip that I cut before. And for those of you that have watched my videos before, you know I really don't do anything on the inside. Well, here's a chance to. Using the extra circles that I cut, nothing goes to waste. And I'm just covering that spot up. So I made sure that was on the inside specifically to do this so that it wouldn't show on the back side of the card. We're going to trim that, and that's our first project. For the second project, I'm going to go into the banana split level, and I'm going to use the Lawn Fawn die, and I'm going to use the papers from the second collection and the stamp set from the banana split. So I cut my panel of the gold hearts using my wonky stitch die from My Favorite Things. I'm going to use a 4 1/4, 5 1/2 top folding gray card base. In this piece of cardstock here is the Canson XL watercolor. And I'm going to stamp the sentiment Happy Valentine's Day onto the bottom of this piece. Now this is a scrap piece that I have. We'll be using a die to cut it out to the size. And I'm using my champagne embossing powder from Recollections. I get mine at my local Michael's. It's a good substitute for Ranger Liquid Platinum. It's a substitute. It does not replace my Ranger. So I pulled out my Gonzai Tombi watercolor set. I have the full set, and on the bottom it has the metallics. So I grabbed the bronze. I added water to it, let it sit so that it can zhuzh up. That's a word. It's my word. And then I put it on my acrylic block, and I'm just splattering away. I love splatters, so I'm big on splattering. I'm okay that it goes on my sentiment. I think it adds character. And this color is a gold bronze. I also have the smaller set from Gonzai of the gold metallics, and I'm going to use the blue gold, the light gold, and the white gold. Same thing. I spray some water in the pans. I let it sit so that that pigment can really react. This is another piece of Canson XL, and I used my Distress sprayer just to put some water down. And now I'm just going to drop the color. I'm going to pick up the blue gold, I'm going to pick up the light gold and the white gold, and I'm just going to drop them in place. I really like these Gonzais because they are opaque. You can get a nice, solid watercolor look with a metallic tint to it, but you don't see the paper. Now, the video doesn't show that. It looks like the paper is still showing through. It's really not. It's a solid coverage of the metallic watercolor paints. But I'm just dropping it. I'm adding water. I'm just letting it do what it wants to do and how it wants to do it. I'm just giving it the water and the watercolor to mesh. I will tip this up just to make it give me some drips. I like to have drip effects in my watercolors. And I will heat set that with my heat gun and also the sentiment. And you can see it's a really pretty panel. So I'm going to use the hearts on the gold panel that we just created. And I'm going to use a smaller wonky stitch die from My Favorite Things for my sentiment. I'm going to use some fun foam to prop up my two panels. And when I use my fun foam, I use, it's a score tape. It's not the score tape. It's a score tape that I actually get at Joann's. That's very reasonable, but it's really strong, and it gives me a good adhesion between these layers. I don't like to use liquid glue, and to me, score tape is just really expensive. But you could use that as well. I'm going to use the scraps just to fill in the back of our sentiment panel, and I'm going to set that down towards the lower right-hand corner of this panel, and then we're just going to place our embellishments that we made, and that's pretty much what we did. So if you have a lot of these dies, or if you have a lot of nested dies and there's smaller ones in there, you can make your own embellishments. Whether you watercolor or use markers, whether alcohol or watercolor markers, we can create our own embellishments. We don't have to, buy all those stickers, but they're fun to buy because I buy them. I'm just using my art glitter glue to adhere them, and they're coming up off of the panel and into the other hearts that are on the main panel that this is sitting on. I'm grabbing my glossy accents, because even though we got one, if you go to the high level, I still have some left in this. So I'm just going to cover these hearts. So it's almost like the doodlebugs. They're not doodlebug, but we can create our own 3D embellishments, and I'm just coating them. I do use a fine tip applicator. When I work with glossy accents, I have better control when it comes to laying this liquid down. I wish I could actually, honestly, convert all of my stuff into these bottles, but that would be ridiculous and stupid. So we're just going to coat them, and you can really see the metallic comes through on these. I hope you enjoyed the two projects, and I really hope you'll take the time to go to the Scrapping for Less website to check out the flavor of the month, see all the new things that they're doing. The owner is absolutely wonderful to work with. If you like this video, hit a thumbs up. And if you haven't already, please subscribe. We have so much coming in, and we're getting ready for the year 2018. For those of you that have subscribed, thank you. Thank you for coming with me on this journey. If you have any comments, leave them below. I will link to products below as well. And remember, always be creative.